Who in the world wants to get old? I don't, no way. Because when you think about getting old, you think about just struggling to wake up in the morning. You're stiff, you're tired. All you want to do is yell at the kids to stay off your lawn and you want to watch TV. That's no fun. But today we're going to present an alternative thought about aging, one where you can feel as young and as spry as ever, no matter how old it says on your driver's license. And to tell us how we can live in such a reality is a clinical exercise physiologist. She is also a spokesperson for VKind. She is a friend of mine. She is Dr. Shabnam Islam. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Oh, what a pleasure it is to be here with you, Chuck. I swear I'm already flubbing my words at the onset, so now I'm probably going to be the one ruining this interview today.
There is no ruining. It's all good. But let's talk about getting old, right? When you were growing up, did you dread getting old?
I think everybody dreads getting old.
Yeah.
And when you're so young and you're looking at, my brother who was 5 years older than I was, and I'm like, God, he's in high school. He's old. It's a thing we fear, but I think it's a thing imposed upon us by society that we shouldn't be fearful of, because there's so many wonderful things about getting old, right? We have life experience. We have hopefully better financial fluidity at the time. We definitely have a better network, a social network. And there are so many other benefits to it.
But let's talk about the physical side of it, right? I mean, I look at what I thought it was going to be like when I hit my 40s, and then I lived with my father-in-law, who is well north of that. And he is stiff. He struggles to bend over and pick up things, and there are aches and there are pains, and it's just like, that's not exactly, and I love the man, but that's not what I want for myself when I am that age. Is it really kind of a choice to be stiff, to be tired, to ache, to hurt all the time? How much control do we actually have there?
Now, deterioration of function is something that does happen over time. Even when we look at the evidence, we start to see cardiorespiratory fitness decline. It starts to hit us at the age of approximately 30. We literally start to decline approximately 1% in cardiorespiratory fitness per year as we age. And the only way we can retard or prevent that is through engaging in cardiorespiratory activity. And so what the evidence says is the more we do, the less we lose. That's it. And that's our goal as we age. So really, when we look at fitness, we're looking at a set of attributes that people have or they're able to achieve in their lifetime, right? And so when we're looking at health components of fitness, we're looking at things like aerobic fitness, muscular fitness, which includes muscular strength and endurance. We're looking at flexibility, body composition, agility, speed, power, balance, coordination. And these things just don't magically happen in our lifetimes. These are things that we must continuously train for. And so if we want to be more mobile, if we want to have more flexibility, if we want to have more strength, these components of fitness must be trained for every week.
Every week. Every single week. And is this formula for training as easy as, I love the post that you put up on your Instagram with Chef Babette, where it says, it's never too late to start putting you and your health first. And then you dial it down with this formula: exercise, drink lots of water, and please eat some bleeping vegetables. I mean, is it really that simple?
It's really that simple. And I love that you bring up my friend, Chef Babette. Chef Babette Davis is a 72-year-old thriving vegan chef. And she's got the body that's better than most 20-year-olds that I teach. And I'm a professor of kinesiology at Cal State Northridge. And so people are fascinated by it. But what you see is her work ethic every day, right? So she gets up before the sun rises, which means she has early access to early morning light in her eyes, which automatically impacts those dopamine receptors, right? She's feeling more reward and more motivation from this. Then she works. She actively works, and she doesn't work because she has to. She enjoys the activity of working in her own restaurant. And she does that. She's on her feet 10 to 12 hours every day. And she's cooking plant-based meals. So she's eating either raw or completely vegan, whole food, plant-based. And the consumption of these foods that she does have, she actually eats it within a particular window of time, right? So when she wakes up, she eats a really, really big green juice that is, God even knows what she puts in it. It's whatever she has in her refrigerator, basically. But it does often have bulbs in it, like garlic and ginger. She'll often put celery, even broccoli. Like, who puts broccoli in a smoothie? This woman does. Fruits. But the combination of these things really impacts digestion and impacts fullness. The extra fiber really helps push out cholesterol and unwanted toxins from the system. And this heavy bouts of fiber and fruits and vegetables actually keeps her satiated longer. So she doesn't snack on poor choices and poor foods throughout the day because she's actually pretty full. And then when she does actually eat a meal, the meal is high in fruits and vegetables with a little bit of grains, and she stops eating at approximately 6 p.m. because she's in bed by 7. So this cycle that 72-year-old Babette Davis does is something she's been doing for 30 years. And so there's the practice.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you ever want to look to anybody as an example, just look at her. I mean, it's impossible to say that this woman is 72 just by looking at her picture. Like, if I didn't know any better, I'd be like, no way. This woman has a doctored birth certificate. This is all gimmick. But no, this is a legit 72, an ass-kicking, excuse my language, 72-year-old woman that can go toe-to-toe in looks, in energy, and in every other department with a 20-something. Like, she is straight up magical. Is somebody like Chef Babette, though, is she the exception and not the rule? Or is this something that is truly attainable for most of us?
I mean, listen, you've even interviewed U.S. Olympic silver medal winner Dotsie Bosch, right? The co-founder of Switch for Good. She became this Olympic medal winner and the oldest athlete in track cycling. So Babette's not the only one. Then we have John Sally, 4-time NBA champion, who really was a champion in 3 decades of time, right? 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So the longevity is there. And all of these athletes contribute their success to plant-based nutrition.
There's something certainly to be said for that. Here's my question, though. The majority of us haven't been planning for old age since we were young. So, I mean, how difficult is it to kind of play catch up when we're in our 50s and our 60s? We're noticing our aches and our pains. The doctor's saying you've got this wrong with you. You've got that wrong with you. Like, how much harder is it to play catch up versus if you had been doing this all along? Is it ever even attainable to think that you'll be able to get to that same type of level as somebody that's been living that good, clean life since they were a teenager?
I mean, absolutely. It's never too late. We've even seen people that have been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that have completely gone in remission and never had to deal with it again because they completely changed their lifestyle factors. And so when people say, oh, well, I've already ruined my diet today. I already cheated today. I should just keep going. No, you shouldn't, because that one meal has a vast impact on the metabolic system. And if you want to see any change occur, you need to start changing those daily behaviors. And what we see, even things with like smoking, Chuck, is fascinating, right? With ACSM, you're considered a smoker even if you've quit smoking up to 6 months. But if you quit smoking for more than 6 months, we start to see some really amazing effects of repair happening to the cardiovascular and pulmonary system. And then if we extend that quitting of smoking for up to 10 years, it's almost like you've never smoked before in your life. So imagine, like, my father has been a hardcore cigarette smoker since he was 15 years old. This guy's a PhD in physics. He's intelligent, he's educated, but now at 72, he still smokes. But if he were to change his lifestyle, if he were to quit, we could see some serious changes occurring within the next year, the next 5 years, and then definitely would revert it in 10 years.
I mean, that's huge. You think about doing that beginning at 72, and I mean, it's we live in a day and age really where 82 doesn't seem like you're ancient so much anymore, right? Like 82
Absolutely
is
not.
it feels normal now. It wasn't that way when I was growing. I was like, "Damn, you 82? Man, knocking on heaven's door, man. Come on."
And we
So,
want to be functional. So I think that's the
yes.
thing that you need to preface is that at 82, do I want to be dependent upon others? Absolutely not. And that's when we think about life planning. And so for life planning, when I think about my future, what it ideally looks like is independence. Um, and I am someone who's chosen not to have children, right? And a lot of people continue to have families because they're like, oh, maybe I'll have somebody take care of me as I age. But I hope that I can take care of myself as I age. And in order to do so, I need to eat really well and engage in a daily physical activity. And so when we're talking about daily physical activity, like what intensity, what do I need to be doing? Well, for you to just not be considered sedentary, right? For things to just not be considered harmful, you have to exercise for minimally 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day for the last 3 months at a moderate intensity activity. Moderate intensity being like 40% to 55% of VO2 max. And how I like to measure that with clients, oftentimes they don't know what their VO2 max is. So we do the talk test, right? If you are breathing and talking and have a conversation like this for 30 minutes while you exercise, then that is a good intensity for you. Now, what ACSM really says is that you need to be engaging in that type of cardiorespiratory training 5 days a week for 30 minutes a day. So 150 minutes. But let's say you want to engage in a little bit of intense basketball challenge with your friends. 20 to 30 minutes of high intensity cardio, or engaging in a CrossFit class, whatever you may be doing. Those things can really also benefit health as well. The higher intense we work at, we tend to see greater benefits in the cardiovascular, pulmonary, and muscle systems. But here's the kicker. Oftentimes, if we exercise too intense and too frequently, we can increase our risk of injury. So this is why we say, working at a moderate intense cardiovascular bout 3 days a week with 2 to 3 days of vigorous intensity exercise looks like a really solid week for anybody, no matter your age. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I see you, and you're not asking a lot. As a matter of fact, you're flat out saying like, don't be a gym rat 7 days a week. Don't always be in there clanging and banging and burning yourself out. Is it especially wise to start a little bit slower for those of us who are north of 40 and have not been exercising those 2 to 3 times a week?
Absolutely. Listen, it's about addition into your life. I hate when people say take out things, because that is not a way for behavior change to really adhere into our lifestyle. We want to add in a little bit more frequently, but slowly. So listen, 30 minutes is all you need in terms of total volume per day. So if you're someone who's new to adding exercise into your daily plan, I would start with 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes of an evening walk with your dog or your family. So the total volume is what we're looking at that matters. And 2 days a week is impactful enough for people that have been completely sedentary their whole lives, or are coming back from injury, or are on the older side of things. Because to instill behavior change, we want to make sure that it is adherable. You want to make sure that people want to stay consistent. And the evidence shows if you go a little too hard, too fast, you're dealing with chronic soreness, inflammation, and that may deter people from coming back because they just don't want to feel like that anymore.
Mm.
right?
Oh yeah, duh. I mean, really, there's nothing worse than overdoing it. I remember I did that one time, and I had wicked shin splints for a couple of weeks. Like it was brutal. I was like, shin splints are the worst. Have you ever had shin splints?
Oh my God, this is why I don't like running. But also, this is why, when you think about engaging in certain kind of sports, like, and I hate to knock CrossFit because there are some very good affiliate gyms, but it really is based upon the person that runs the affiliate gym, their level of expertise in exercise science or biomechanics and program design. Because unfortunately, for exercises like CrossFit, which do motivate people, they build a sense of community. However, they don't gear exercise programs to the individual. Males and females do very specific exercises and programs based on weight, based on their sex. And what we do realize in terms of program design is things should be individualized.
Hmm.
My program for Babette is not the same program I would write for John Sally, and not the same program I'd write for you, Chuck. However, when you think about movements, I may incorporate the same style of movements, but in terms of dosage, intensity, frequency, rep range, set range, all of those things are very dependent upon the individual, their level of athleticism, and their goals. And so when you go into a fitness program that is a one size fits all, that's a one size fits all problem, because what we're going to see is that it's really going to impact those of less athleticism in ways that they may not enjoy. Increased soreness, increased inflammation, a need for longer recovery. And those that are very physically fit may engage in the same program and not see as much benefit because they're already so physically fit. Right? So they need to work at a higher intensity, a longer prolonged period, or have different variables that improve their levels of performance.
Those of less athleticism. You can just drop me in that bucket right now. That is so great. Oh my God, that's the most PC way to put it. Like God gave me a lot of great qualities, but being athletic is not one of them. I mean, my goodness gracious, the struggle is real for some of us. So take pity on those of us who are not athletic. Anyway, let's get the conversation back on track here. I want to talk about what the exam roomies love talking about, and that is nutrition. You dropped the F word earlier in the interview. You said fiber. When it comes to aging healthfully, is fiber the key number one nutrient?
You know why I think fiber is such a key nutrient is because it combats what fat does. And so when we look at aging, sugar is not the enemy, people. Fat is your enemy. Now, things like diabetes is caused by excess fat in the muscle and the liver cells, and this actually competes with glucose regulation. So, more fat in the cell means less sugar can enter the cell. Does that make sense? Like, I want you to imagine a squirrel shoving nuts into their mouth. Everybody can see that, right? Imagine the squirrel now goes across the garden and sees, oh, this beautiful, delicious strawberry. And it cannot enter his mouth, his muscle cell. We'll just say that that's what it is because it's competing. It's competing. And so that's what we're doing biologically to ourselves. And so when we eat copious amounts of fat, the only way that these things, these hormones that are produced from our fat cells, because remember, fat cells are hormone factories, right? They adipose tissue is just not a storage site, and it's not just meant for creating homeostasis in the human body like we used to think. Now, evidence is showing that adipose tissue it expresses and secretes significant amount of hormones, things like estrogen, and it's estradiol, estriol, which we produce during pregnancy, estrone during menopause, estradiol during premenopause. It excretes testosterone and those particular androgens for women as well, growth hormone. And so what fiber does, it's so fascinating. When the liver, which is a totally different story. The liver filters out the blood, right? And so it'll excrete out all of these hormones like excess estrogen out of the bile duct and into the intestinal tract. Fiber will suck up all of these hormones and then carry it out as waste. So without excess fiber in our system, we are really putting ourselves at risk of this crazy hormonal balance. And what happens for those people that don't eat copious amounts of fiber, or those people that actually eat like Atkins diets or keto, it's what we call enterohepatic circulation, right? All of these toxins will enter into the bloodstream, and instead of fiber sucking it up and pushing it out of the system as waste, it will re-enter to the bloodstream and go again and again and again without excretion. And this process can lead to things like cardiovascular disease, heart disease, diabetes, all sorts of ailments down the line, because the things that we need to get out of our system are not getting out. So yes, fiber is imperative. And so the fascinating thing here is that even the American College of Sports Medicine says that females should be having anywhere between 25 grams of fiber and males up to 38 grams, but 25 grams is just simply not enough. We are saying you need minimally 40 grams of fiber in your diet just for basic metabolic function.
Yeah. Well, then why in the world, if fiber is that important, or do we put all of this emphasis on collagen to look young, right? Like, I mean, I think that our priorities are a little bit out of whack here, wouldn't you say?
Well, fiber is cheap, isn't it?
It is.
Collagen is not. And when we look at these substances and things that we're being told consistently time and time again that help with aging, improve performance, we're overlooking the simplest thing of them all. Fruits, vegetables, whole food sources grown from the ground. There's nothing simpler or a more viable solution than that. We should really stop trying to get things out of a bottle and get things straight from the ground. That is just the best way to be living.
Can you give us, let's get some specifics here. So when you're talking fruits and vegetables, like what are some of your favorites? What are some of your go-tos that you really recommend to somebody if they really want to keep looking as young as possible for as long as possible?
I love that you asked that. Orange, anything orange. Go for that beta carotene. Go for your carrots. Go for your sweet potatoes. This antioxidant neutralizes free radicals and that are contributed to aging. So if you're not having something naturally orange in your diet every day, I think you're really missing out. You should definitely be having bulbs in your diet, things like garlic, things like ginger. These bulbs have been shown to actually even combat cancer tremendously. So it's a great addition. Sea veggies, so high in iodine, better for thyroid function. You'll even see my girlfriend, Chef Babette, using things like sea moss, sea kelp in her smoothies on a daily basis. Again, as Chuck was saying, legumes, beans, peas, lentils, these are your fiber powerhouses. The more of them you can get in your daily intake, the healthier you'll be, the more satiated you'll be, and the younger you'll look. And last but not least, of course, we need our fruit high in fiber, low in fat, very vitamin rich. And of course, green leafy vegetables, right? We want them for calcium and for iron. And remember, the iron that you're getting from your green leafy vegetables are your non-heme sources. And these non-heme sources are really rich in folate, vitamin B. And this vitamin B actually plays a really big role in mood regulation. So not only are you going to be a happier person to be around, you'll have nicer skin.
So let me throw a hypothetical at you. I like Happy. I'm a big fan of Happy. I don't have time for jerks. I just don't. None of us really should. But here's something that makes me happy is really helping to draw this parallel and comparison for people. And that is, let's say that the sweet potato you were just talking about. I freaking love me some sweet potatoes. I have at least one every single day. But what happens when you chop up that sweet potato and then you fry it and you create a sweet potato chip? What then is the difference between that baked sweet potato and that fried sweet potato chip in terms of aging on the body?
Well, then the topic comes down to the addition of fat, right? Fat is going to be producing more hormones, more estrogen in the system. And this is just the danger zone. We want natural whole food sources that are low in fat, high in carbohydrates. And the second that we start adding fats, even like saturated fats, plant sources like cocoa butter, coconut oil, palm oil, we start to see that these things have an impact on cholesterol. And the fascinating thing about fat is that what we're starting to see here is that it's just not the amount of total body fat that you're starting to have in your system that is impacting aging. It's also your storage sites that is impacting aging. And particularly as we age, we start to see people having more storage sites of what we call intermuscular fat, also known as, visceral fat, which is underneath the fascial line, right? So it's right above the muscle, and sometimes intramuscular fat, which is within the muscle fibers. And then we have intramyocellular lipids, right, which are found inside the muscle cell. And these intramyocellular lipids are also found in obese, insulin resistant individuals. Okay. But we also do find them in high endurance strength and high endurance athletes. So we don't really quite know the role of it. But what we do know is that this increase in fat really does impede digestion and metabolic function. And like I was saying, that if we really want to talk about muscular function, glucose is our energy currency, and we need glucose to enter the muscle cell. But if we have copious amounts of fat in our diet, it's competing with glucose entering into the muscle cell. And this is what can really start to build up insulin resistance. And I don't know what else to say about it other than stop eating so much fat. We all love it. We all love it. I mean, I don't know if you tried Atlas Monroe's vegan fried chicken. It's delicious. Okay. It tastes literally like fried chicken. But if I, as a vegan, ate that every day, I would start to see my total serum cholesterol levels raise. I would start to see my total adipose body count of body fat tissues raise. And all of that would impact my weight loss, and it would impact aging. I need better cellular function. And to do that, the less fat I have in my diet, the more fiber I have, the slower I will age.
So then I was going to ask you this generic question. Well, then what are the worst foods for aging? But it sounds like literally it could be any food that's like super deluxe, high in fat, right? So, whether that is the fried chicken or the triple cheeseburger with the French fries and the milkshake to wash it down, like that's really what's going to speed up the hands of time, not just in terms of clogging the arteries and getting the old heart disease machine going, but like literally in the way that you look and feel as well.
Absolutely. And I think, Chuck, you and I were talking about this briefly on Instagram, about vegan high fat diets that are coming into fad, right? Like the Taco Bell Crunch Wrap and all of these new innovative ways to make plant-based foods more palatable for non-vegans and vegans alike. But at the end of the day, all of this increase in fat is having an impact on our metabolic system. The way that we still digest foods, the way that we process foods is the same. And so higher cholesterol is going to have an impact on the way our total serum cholesterol is. So even though vegetable oils don't have cholesterol, when we are looking at saturated fats, an increase in like coconut oil, palm oil, we do start to see metabolic panels change. We do start to see total serum cholesterols rise in vegans alike. So there is still some sort of similar effect.
Let's end with this. We were talking about what 87, looks like for a lot of us, but give me like just some hope that we can hang our hat on. What should 87 look like? Like what should the standard be for 87 years old?
I mean, 87 shouldn't be any different from 57, which shouldn't be any different from 47. You should have energy. You should not be gaining excess amounts of weight. You should still be physically active 5 days a week. You should be doing cardiovascular training 5 to 7 days a week, strength training 3 days a week. You should have energy. You should be wanting to wake up with the sun and going to bed with the sun. And I don't think that that should change for any age group. I wish that we as a species are choosing to get up with the sun and go to bed with the sun as we were intended to do. And I think we just do that better as we age because we just don't have time for bullshit.
I hear you. I hear you, man. Last question. Yeah, you're funny. Last question. So if we're getting up with the sun, we're going to bed with the sun. What importance does meal timing play? You kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about Chef Babette earlier, but what importance does meal timing and nutrient timing play in terms of slowing down the hands of time as well?
I love that you say that because nutrient timing is so important. When we talk about eating foods for progress, for success, we're often looking at ourselves in an anabolic or catabolic state, right? So, anabolic state when we're building and we're in the growth phase, or in the catabolic state where we're breaking down foodstuffs for energy. And so, really, if you want to be building up muscle mass, you need to be consuming foods within 30 to 40 minutes post workout. This is what we call the metabolic or anabolic window. And this anabolic window is really seen more successful for increasing insulin resistance. So we're talking about the consumption of carbohydrates immediately post workout, 30 to 40 minutes. And this does increase up to 120 minutes, but your anabolic window starts to kind of close down. How much more sugar that enters into the muscle cell and being stored as glycogen for future energy reserves. Now, that anabolic window is not exactly the same in terms for protein consumption. Theoretically speaking, you can consume protein as late as you want after you've exercised without it really impeding on any performance factors. But what we are seeing is that you do need to be having your carbohydrates and glucose within 30 to 40 minutes. And additionally, not eating heavy amounts of carbohydrates closer to sleep time is what's beneficial because it could impact sleep. And so what we're really saying is give yourself some time before bed, 3 to 4 hours before bed, before actually eating anything very heavy. When you get up, if you want to, eat within 30 to 45 minutes post rising, but it should be a very, very high fibrous food. And the first thing that should enter your mouth post consumption, whenever you eat, should be a protein based source. So if you can, throw some tofu in there, have some beans, have some legumes. It can really help with satiety over the entire day if you start with protein.
There it is. There it is. I love it so much, and I would love to invite you back right now because I feel like there's still a whole lot that we could cover that we didn't get a chance to talk about here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chuck. This was a really fun talk today.
Oh yeah, but we're not quite done yet because I got to
Okay,
ask you
good.
also about this event that's coming up in LA in November, the exploration of 7 continents when it comes to culinary cuisine. I mean, first of all, the fact that you're getting literally all 7 continents, including Antarctica in here is freaking
Right.
mind-blowing to me. So you all at V Kind are just really doing something unique. What's happening? Give us the blow black belt.
This team at Be Kind is absolutely incredible. What we are putting on is called the Be Kind Experience on November 11th and 12th in Los Angeles, California. And it is intended to be a full family event. Any age group can attend. You do not have to be vegan to attend. We would like the non-vegans to attend because we want to make this a fully immersive experience for you. You're going to walk in, you're going to experience all different continents and a culinary style. So you're going to hit every single sense from sight, taste, smell, and then we're going to add in What are we going to add in? Oh, experience.
There's so much I can't remember it all.
There's so much I can't even remember. But what I'm excited about is that each room will be a totally different continent experience. So whether you're going to be entering into Africa or you're going to enter into Asia, you'll get to experience all the culinary cuisines only using vegan plant-based products. And so what we're here is to hopefully show people that you don't have to use animals, oppress animals, eat animals to have a delectable experience. And we really do hope to bring people over to the greener side with a vegan experience.
And you gotta let me know what y'all wind up doing for Antarctica. Seriously, like let all the exam roomies know. Once that kind of like comes to fruition and everything's planned out, you gotta let us know, because I mean, I'm in the dark here and I know I can't be the only one.
Yeah, no, I'm equally in the dark. So there
Right
you go.
on. Right on. All right, Dr. Shabnam Islam, you are awesome. Thank you so much for coming and playing with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been a roomie for a super long time, so it is nice to be on this side of the podcast where I'm like, oh God, this was fun.
Well, welcome. So glad that you're here. And by the way, everybody, go hop on Dr. Islam's Instagram there. You want to see Chef Babette and her friends in action working out, like fit over 50. It doesn't even begin to start here. Like you could look at this and think it's a bunch of 30-somethings having a workout on a Saturday morning. Like these girls got it going on. You got to see it at Dr. Shabnam Islam, and we've got the link to that Instagram account in the show description, in the episode notes. You know the drill by now. Thank you so much. Again, you rock.
You rock. Thanks for having me.
If your health IQ is a couple of points higher than it was a few minutes ago, go ahead and like this video or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And to take it even higher, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your favorite shows. Look for The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. Hit the subscribe button there as well and help to make your world a healthier place.